Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
We're back for episode 207 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about nothing. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
And the lifting podcast about nothing is probably really going to get to be about nothing because there's not going to be anything going on about lifting even anymore. You guys
thought we lived up to our name for 206 episodes? Wait until this episode starts.
Right. Before we get into all the juicy deets of what's going on in the lifting world, what is or isn't going on in the lifting world right now, we'll hear from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Hybrid Performance Method. They're your one-stop shop for all things fitness and online coaching. Whether your goals are training related, nutrition and body composition related, or both, Hybrid has a program for you. With dedicated and experienced coaches in each strength and fitness discipline, you can rest assured that you're in the best hands possible. Use our discount code MASS in all caps for 5% off any training or nutrition memberships for the life of your membership. Visit hybridperformancemethod.com. Today's show is also brought to you by our newest sponsor, Texas Power Bars, new last week. In 1980, Buddy Caps was on a mission to make the best bar possible, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house, had the best knurling, and it was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, Massenomics, international, and world powerlifting records have been set and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about the Texas Power Bars and to buy one of their legendary bars, visit texaspowerbars.com. The show is also brought to you by Lifting Large. Lifting Large has set a new standard for customer service within the strength world. They have live website chat support and speedy email responses. Lifting Large is the home of the Ground Lock Deadlift Slipper, and they are always in stock and ready to ship. Massenomics listeners can save 20% on all Lifting Large branded products. Just make sure to use our discount code MASS20 when you check out there. Today's show is also brought to you by Spud Inc. The goal of Spud Inc. straps is to make products that support sports performance and help everyone achieve their training goals. They make products that last forever, won't bust your budget, and most importantly, leave no doubt about success when everything is on the line. Make sure to check them out online at spud-inc-straps.com.
Woo.
Thank you to our sponsors. And if you didn't know, Tommy and I are practicing social distancing. Today, we're not filming in front of a live studio audience like we normally would.
We did not sell any tickets to tonight's show.
So we didn't want to get our moisturous coughs on anyone else.
We're staying away.
Yeah. That's the term, right? Social distancing? Or?
Yeah, that is the term. That's what they're going with these days.
What's the distance? I've heard 6 feet. I've heard 10 feet.
6 seems to be the number I've heard the most.
Yeah.
I haven't spent a ton of time researching it since, besides this, I'm pretty solitary in
Have you been doing a 14-day quarantine?
I'm almost kind of quarantined already. I work from home. I work alone. So a lot of days, I should say most days, with the exception of seeing my wife, I don't see anyone. So and I've actually used that as, I won't say an excuse, but as a way to justify doing even less lately. And I don't think that's wrong. No. It's probably the right, according to what everyone says, that is the right thing to be doing right now.
Probably the best thing that you can be.
Yeah. Besides you, Tanner, no one will be coming in and out of our house for probably several weeks now.
I was asking, you're having all the employees work remotely.
Yeah, I sent all my employees home for the day. So yeah, but you do work in an office, Tanner.
I do work in an office, and this will be a central topic of today's podcast. If you haven't figured out, it's COVID-19, the coronavirus, because it is just, it is all anyone is talking about. It is just everyone's life right now in the world.
It is. Yeah.
At least in our country.
Yeah. I think the world. For the most part. Yeah, I think so.
Maybe just in some countries that are, I don't know. I suppose if you're in a third world country, you're like, well, we're not changing our lifestyle.
Maybe there it doesn't matter.
We don't have any choices here.
Yeah, but everywhere else, it is kind of the ruling subject. And I don't think that's news to you if you're listening to this. I would hope that we're not your first people to tell you that.
Well, we figured that's why you're coming here. This is your chance to get your most up to date 1 week old COVID-19 information.
And it's really funny because already last week we're going, there's rumors they might have March Madness in front of no crowds. Like there might not be people that watch March Madness this year. Little did we know, 3 days later, no one would watch March Madness this year.
It is funny though. That's how fat, like 1 day old information is almost irrelevant when it pertains to this.
It is.
So when we were saying that it's so weird that was a week ago because so much has happened.
Between
related
all
to
of
it,
the pro sports suspending their seasons.
Yeah, none of that had happened last time when we recorded.
All college sports being done. Pretty much any large gathering of people has been canceled.
The recommendation now is like 10 people or less, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
But it is, the thought I had is it does make the Arnold cancellation feel not quite so bad. Because that was like very far out ahead.
That was the first big thing. I still, my wife and I were talking about this. If the Arnold was a week earlier, 100% would have happened, right?
Oh yeah. And I don't think we would have nobody there. If it was a week early, nobody would have even thought anything of it.
I don't think
so we wouldn't
either.
even discuss the coronavirus while we're there. I don't think hardly.
I think it might have came up in passing, but it wouldn't have been a main topic. Like if it happened this year, it would have been the central topic all day, every day.
Right.
But the Arnold was so on the cusp. It was so close. You could even make the argument that if the Arnold happened a few days earlier, it would have happened.
Right? I think it would have half a week earlier, and I think it would have happened.
Yeah, like if the dates magically happened to be March, like last year. What wasn't last year like the 1st through the 3rd?
I think that's probably.
I think it was, right. Like if that was the case this year, it would have happened.
Right. It does make it feel better though. It shouldn't really matter. It's just like, well, everyone is. Yeah,
it kind of felt like at the time that we were like getting shafted and the world was against us, and now it's like, oh no, everyone's
getting shafted.
Everyone's feeling the burn now,
right?
To the point where it's just things that you would never like we said, pro sports being suspended, and
all
college sports, basically all sports being suspended, like. That, who would have ever thought that would happen, right?
That's certainly never happened in our lifetimes, and I really don't. I was talking about it with my parents, and there has not been something like this in their lifetime.
Yeah, it's wild times.
Yeah, it's funny to think, looking back on or looking forward, listening to this a week from now, how outdated this will already sound. It's like, oh, dude, we're not even allowed to leave the house now. Can you believe we recorded a podcast?
And we're laughing about it, and it's probably like something like that is happening.
You're right. Yeah.
Our future selves aren't aware of what just happened, but
yeah,
there's going to be more things that we obviously aren't aware of that have changed and happened by the time this came out. So.
Yeah. The big effect that it does have on related to what we talk about on the Massenomics podcast in the lifting world is like all competitions. Two things. Number one, competitions like are all canceled everywhere for like the foreseeable future, right? Like, is there any going on?
I'm not. If there are, it's got to be something
strongman and powerlifting and weightlifting.
It's got to be something very minor.
Yeah, I think like there's a couple local-ish meets. There was one in South Dakota. That was in Rapid City. That one got canceled. There's one going to be in North Dakota. Mm-hmm. That one got canceled. Like for the people from our gym that had meets scheduled, all of them have been canceled. There's no opportunity for them to lift. And, some of those were even out into, I think, like the last half of April. Mm-hmm. So over a month from now, and they were already canceling those. I wonder how far out something has to be scheduled for it to have a chance of being held at this point. Nobody knows the answer to that sort of thing of like when it's going to be a change, but
in my mind, anything before June is, I don't know how.
And even if it's in June, you're kind of like, maybe.
I would think that as of right now, it seems like the most aggressive answer is if you have an event like maybe 4th of July will happen this year.
Yeah,
like
right?
Maybe they'll be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And like that could be the time when things are coming around,
right? And
that people will just go absolutely nuts, because like, oh, we're allowed to have social gatherings again. But that's. I don't know if anything before that will happen.
As far as big meets, I know that the Sheffield meet that we talked about, and that didn't get canceled quite as early, and I saw some of those competitors were still posting like, "Oh, Sheffield meal prep," and I was like, "Dude, you are not doing that." I guarantee that is not happening.
Yeah, there's a travel ban coming pretty soon,
right?
So yeah, you don't got to worry about that.
Yes. I wonder if World's Strongest Man will end up happening this year, because that's that's an international competition to begin with, and a lot of times they have it in foreign countries.
I was gonna say,
Botswana might not be the place you want to go.
I was going to say, there's no way that'll happen. But then you remember, they do have crowds of tens of people that go. So
the crowd isn't much, but even just from a competitor standpoint.
I don't think it would ever get canceled for the crowd reasoning.
No,
like historically, the numbers aren't there. But yeah, the very dynamic nature of their competitors, or diverse nature of their competitors, I could see that being the issue there.
Yeah.
And it's World's Strongest Man. Like, it's basically, what do you need, a week?
Yeah,
I get people got to train for it, but that one seems like you could reschedule that fairly easily.
I think so too.
You don't have a huge
there's
board.
no crowd.
There's not a they don't the strongmen don't have a union where you have to run it by them and clear it through their players age group to get things going. So I could see that one being rescheduled, and I don't think people would really think twice.
I think it could be too. And then I think, isn't the Kern, wouldn't that be the one coming up relatively?
That's usually like in May-ish.
Yeah.
And that one has, Big Dogs is canceled.
It is canceled.
Yeah, it's canceled.
And I don't think last I saw the Kern isn't canceled yet, but I would guess.
How could it go on?
Right.
Though? I don't know how.
And then the other one I wondered is, let's see, USAP Nationals, that's usually in like October. When's Worlds? Is Worlds coming before that, or has Worlds already? Worlds would be next. Worlds would be the next thing.
Worlds is pretty soon here. Isn't it?
Because I don't know when.
Months,
a few months out. So that would be the next thing. Like,
I think all IPF events are suspended and postponed for now, though.
Okay,
I believe. I thought I saw their president had a post saying everything is off
for now. Okay, because I saw like Ray Williams. He said Sheffield's canceled. So some people asked him if he's going to try and do some other meet or something, and he said nope. Now training for Worlds starts. But if you're even that, it's like, well, is IPF Worlds going to happen?
Yeah, I the way I understood it is all IPF
is canceled.
Are off, like they're not happening at the moment. So basically, the one like common thread that we try to have this podcast be about, lifting in the strength world, that world doesn't exist right now.
Right,
like that world is limited to even a lot of gyms.
That was my point too. Is that A, contests are not happening now. B, like nationwide gym closures is like I bet what percentage of our audience listeners do you think have their normal gym that's closed? I bet it's like half.
I think that by the time they're hearing this, I would assume at least
not
half.
More. Yeah. If not more by the time they're hearing this. And that's kind of a big deal. All the people that listen to our show are probably pretty into lifting, I have to assume. Otherwise, it's like, why have we gotten you here?
It's just the right amount of white noise to just keep my mind zoned out.
Yeah, like I quit lifting like 3 years ago, but I just keep, I don't know, it just comes on Monday and I just turn it on. But
it's kind of like why is The Office still on? It's that same thing. It's just like just comforting enough.
I actually forgot to look up at it in like 3 episodes and it's still playing.
But I can't turn it off.
But that's a really big deal for a lot of people now, I think. And
well, definitely. Yeah.
Because what do they do?
Yeah. What do you do?
Scott Dodds mentioned to me that, was it his town or the state of Michigan that all gyms were closed, is the wording he used.
Well, we're in South Dakota, so South Dakota is the last to do anything. Like,
well, we are way more, and as far as this goes, we are way more isolated than
we are. We also are not testing like anybody.
Right.
Like
I say it was there like 10 confirmed cases.
It was like 10
something.
cases. I guess we've tested maybe a couple hundred people, but as far as a percentage goes, we're way behind.
Yeah.
I mean, the country, I think you could say in general, is behind the standards when it comes to actually testing. But like I'm starting to see, I've just seen today a few people say, and like even Minnesota, like I think the governor has put a mandate down that,
restaurants and bars.
Yeah,
and
things like that
are
closing. So will that ever happen here? Pretty hard to say. Like it's just because that's kind of not typically how our government rolls. But I also wouldn't be surprised if it happens either.
No, it just depends on how
Yeah. You know, if,
How much wild, just like what we were talking about, a week it could be a way different landscape. It's like,
if
oh yeah,
10 more cases pop up in the next couple of days in
Yeah.
our state, that would be probably enough to get people alarmed and for orders to start coming down of things being closed. But
yeah,
it is what, you know, I'm using this time, and we'll talk more about this later, Tanner. I'm actually taking just a slight break from the gym. I got my copy of The Back Mechanic, and I'm
by
using this.
Stu McGill.
I'm using this as my chance to, you know what? I will take a slight break, quit picking that scab. I'll read The Back Mechanic, get all educated, and you know, maybe when this thing blows over or whatever time that might be, I'll come back feeling like $1 million.
Yep. Well, it probably is the best time possible to do that.
Well,
I mean,
and
there's
it
not going to
is-
be
it
another
is-
scenario where everyone is encouraged to stay home for, you know,
It's the only time I can do it somewhat guilt-free. It's still
Right.
not guilt-free, but you feel like there's a slight justification. Like, I'm not,
as far as
I
our
can't be
yeah.
wronged for not
No,
going.
I agree. And as far as our town goes, like I think only one gym has, one company of gyms has closed down.
What one
the
is it?
Y.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
they have big daycare and all this
Yep.
stuff, and they kind of followed suit with the schools when the
Yep.
schools were closed. But like the other commercial
are all going.
I think so. Yeah, none of them have closed, but I would still not be surprised if they do end up closing. Like
I wouldn't
anytime.
either.
Like, and I feel like it could be a corporate decision. I believe the ones in town here are all franchises or franchisees, but if it was a corporate decision, I think maybe they would still have to close.
I would assume you do.
Yeah.
I don't think you have complete leeway to do whatever you want as a franchisee, but
I could picture that happening still, like for the Snap Fitnesses and Anytime Fitnesses and that sort of thing. Or like you said, what if maybe it's just like by the governor? The governor says all gyms should be closed, but then it's like, well, who's going to come tell me to close my gym as someone that runs I mean, much different than these gyms that have hundreds of people coming in and out, and elderly people and stuff like that. But I'm like, who is going to enforce any of that actually?
yeah,
Like, who is actually
what's
going to-
always, this is where it always gets into like the weird gray area of like, how much can the government tell people what to do?
Right. Yeah.
This is where the conspiracy theorists really like to come out and
If it's not martial law and there's not like army soldiers roaming the streets, like
I know.
people are going to continue to go get food at McDonald's and
you know, the only one it comes back to is if there were to be an outbreak, you'd look pretty bad for any person if they could somehow trace it back. Well, you were helping contribute to the spread. And I think that's also the position a lot of businesses are taking is it looks really bad from a PR perspective to be like, well, now we made people really buckle down and now 50% of our workforce is out because we took that hard-nosed approach and it really bit us in the butt and we look dumb and we have sick people. Like, you don't want to, I don't think anyone wants to be in that situation.
Yeah, there's like a lot of tough calls for a lot of business owners though too, like of what to do at this point, because it's like, do we shut down our business now?
Yeah.
Like,
this is one of those times where I'm very happy that I don't have employees in an office and people depending on me for payroll. Like, it's just, I'm glad I don't have to make those decisions right now. Like, my biggest decision is if I have a meeting, hey, can we move that meeting to just be a phone call or something?
Right.
That's the only thing I got to worry about from a working standpoint.
Right.
And I like it that way.
Yeah, that is like some really crappy calls for a lot of people right now, I think. And it's also like costing those owners a ton of freaking money. There will be, depending on how long it goes, like there will be people that go out of business because of this. And I don't think that's crazy to say.
I don't think that's unreasonable to think at all.
That being said, I mentioned this before we recorded. In our fitness space, I've noticed at least one or a couple companies that have said that business has been great for them because of this. Rep Fitness, for example, who sells a lot of home gym equipment, say their shipping times are way long right now because they're experiencing a huge influx of orders.
Yep.
And I hadn't really thought about that. It makes a lot of sense that people are like, because we were talking about, we've got maybe 50% of our lifters that no longer have a place to lift. And they're like, well, shoot, this is going to go on at least a week or two that I'm probably not going to be able to get to that gym. What if it goes on 2 months?
Yeah. Yeah,
maybe I should just buy a $500 rack at home, $200 barbell. You know, maybe I'll spend $1,000 and have something that I can start using in a week.
Yeah, yeah. And usually if you're a person like that, you already have something in the back of your mind. You're like, just something, give me an excuse. Give me a reason.
I have been now I can justify it with my wife.
You know, some people are like, it might be a little unreasonable, but I did it.
Yeah.
And it's like the same thing. It's like, God, it'd be nice to get an Echo bike for the garage and a few plates. But it's like, what am I thinking? I don't want that in my house. I don't want to deal with that at my house. So, but that is like that slippery slope of like, well, yeah, I probably should. And then it's like, well, all right, now I need one more thing and another thing. And then you're $2,000 in.
But apparently a lot of people are doing it because I just saw right before this that Rep put out a post that apologizing for shipping times in advance because they are like working as much as they can, but they are have a huge influx of orders.
Yeah.
I thought that's interesting that.
I wouldn't have thought of that right away, but it does make sense.
Yeah. And garage gym lifters around the world are laughing right now at the whole thing. Like,
they're rejoicing in their lonely little holes.
They're rejoicing all by themselves.
Everyone
like
knows
always.
a gym is not meant for socializing in any way. It's purely meant for lifting.
But so do you think that with no competitions going on and that sort of thing, what are people going to do? Is there just going to be a whole bunch of gym PRs going on? You know, because a lot of people were peaking for a meet right now.
I think you'll see some gym PRs. Like how many? I don't know. Like, because I feel like a lot of those people too at the same time are like, well, I'm still saving my PRs for the platform. You know, a lot of those people will have that mentality.
Yeah.
Some people are fans of the YOLO lifting, but I'm not sure if there's a ton of that out there.
No, especially the highest level people, they want to do it.
The highest level people.
But for all your average people, like any of us, like if I had been prepping for a meet and like putting in the work and stuff, I'm like, well, screw it. I'm going to do it at the gym because it's going to,
I would
better than not, you know,
I would just max out over the course of a week.
Right.
Just have a max out week. Like,
so there probably will be an extreme increase in maxing out in the gym, I would think.
Assuming you have a gym that allows that.
True. That's true.
The one caveat there.
Yeah, a gym that you can even go to whatsoever.
That it does make it more helpful for PRs for sure. Unless you got that new rep rack.
That's true.
Making its way in the mail.
Yes. Massenomics gym hasn't closed down.
Have you reached out to any representatives at Titan Fitness to see how business is going over there?
I don't know. I suppose it's going. I bet they're all. I bet Rogue and everyone is cashing in on it to a certain degree.
You would think. I also got to assume. You got to think that UPS and those places are crazy busy right now, right?
I think so.
People
for
are
sure.
like, all right, I'm home, nothing to do. I am online shopping, and anything that I do need anyways, I'm just going to have someone bring it to me.
And at work, we've made a conscious effort, like sometimes like as far as signing documents, we're doing more of that via the mail right now than we would having any face-to-face meetings just to avoid
the Herbie Hancock
I guess so.
germs.
Yes, right. Yeah. Sometimes I get conflicted how I feel about it. Sometimes I'm like, okay, how over the top are we going to take it on things? And then I'm like, well, I guess if everyone is doing a few things, there should be that many less interactions between all people. But then I'm also like, well, but also like I had to go to the store the other day. There was probably 1,000 people in there within the hour that I was in there. It's like just that one scenario. Like,
that's why
I just get confused.
Stores and restaurants to me are kind of like scary areas right now because all of the people coughing and touching on things like, that just seems like and I'm not like a germ guy at all, but now is the first time I think of it where, those are kind of gross places.
That's where I get where I'm like, well, I can do these couple things to avoid like these 3 people, but then we have to have groceries.
Yep.
And like just like you're avoiding these 3 people, but then you're getting in front of 400.
Yeah,
and it's like
I know it's tricky. Well, and you just realize like how life is not set up to accommodate these type of things at all.
Right.
But we are set up to accommodate Tanner.
I would like you to tell me.
A can segment.
All right. Is this?
We'll do
hold the COVID-19.
We will very light on that. We will do you don't want to be like the jazz player, that kind of started the whole thing where he was touching all the mics. Did you see that? Oh, is it Rudy Gobert? Is that his name?
Oh, that sounds familiar to me. The Utah Jazz
yeah,
player.
Utah Jazz.
I thought you were talking about a jazz player and that was touching microphones.
A literal jazz player.
Yeah.
Actually, talking about playing jazz and microphones, they do go together. Can you get that flavor? I feel like you might get this one. Tanner just cracked into a crispy cold boy over here. Will he guess what it is?
You know, I did incidentally see the color of the can, so that's kind of like
that might
weighing
make
me
things,
a lot. But
that might make things pretty easy in this situation.
Since I know that it's yellow, I can't help but say that it's lemon, no matter what I taste right now.
You are correct.
Yeah, because I
was
could see
really hoping. I'm
it's
like,
extremely yellow.
Please don't say banana.
That would really show how poorly flavored these are. If I
was going to say, man,
yeah.
either this thing tastes like nothing or you don't have taste buds, Tanner.
Orange, you glad I didn't say banana?
Yeah. This is a lemon buble.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that I can say now after having multiple bublés that the flavor is much more intense than a LaCroix.
I agree.
Without a doubt.
From this taste test that we've done over the
this
past
almost
year.
tastes like the lemon drop candy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it does.
Whereas to us, I think I got you several times with the lemon LaCroix where you thought it was like more of a Sprite flavor.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a stronger lemon flavor for
It's
sure.
almost tart. Even.
Yeah, right. Tasty.
Oh yeah. Should we read some ads and get our guest of
Yeah.
honor on the show?
Let me before we do that, I did have this review that I had to read, so this maybe is a good opportunity to get that in. And do you remember I teased this last week?
You said this is a good one.
My words were that I have to try to read this.
Uh-huh.
And now I have read this once or twice, and it's going to be a challenge. And I believe this is what he had in mind when he wrote this. And this is from Big Miles Huffman. And he even says, "This one's for you, Tanner." And he spells my name with one N.
Perfect.
People have been doing that, spelling our names wrong. I don't know if that's a trending thing or
I don't know.
I think he's doing it on purpose,
Okay,
and I think some other people have been too, because they said TOMI for you.
Oh.
5 stars, and Miles says, Massenomics sparingly sprinkles in speeches from sponsors that supposedly support sports performance, despite their surprisingly sparse snippets of supplement supplier segments. The boys remain the spiciest crispy boy LaCroix assessors exploiting the podcast platform. Sustain these professional shakedown schemes by excessively purchasing the swankiest, priciest shorts, stickers, signage, and shirts in the solar system. Silliness aside, seriously speaking, 10 of 10 would recommend. Like, comment, smash that subscribe.
Wow. Got like a lyricist over here. That was pretty impressive.
That was very good. And, that is a play on me saying that support sports performance in the Spud Ink line. That I complained that was hard. So he was challenging me there.
I would have a hard time believing that anyone has put much more thought into one than that.
That had to have taken a while. Like, what else? What? I bet he had the thesaurus out.
Unless he's just that good at writing, that it's just like, all right, I can do this, no problem. But that is impressive.
And it really does test me, because when I was in grade school, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but I had to go to speech therapy for my S's.
Yeah, you said that. I don't know if that was on the podcast or if you told me personally, but I do know I have.
So this is actually like really hits home to
it was really
a lifelong problem of mine.
Well,
really
how far you've come.
A lot of emotions having to say all those S's.
30 years ago, that wouldn't have been a fun one to read. Partly because you would have been like 4 reading, no 4-year-old, 3-year-old wants to read that ever. But now look what you can do.
Yep.
Who's laughing now?
Look at me now, Mom. Look at me now. Speech therapist from 2nd grade whose name I can't remember.
Oh, they would have been proud.
Yep.
Well, thank you for that podcast review, Miles. That was excellent.
That was excellent.
Today's
super.
Today's show is brought to you by Spud Inc. and the 2-ply deadlift belt. Deadlifting in traditional leather belts just sucks. Tighten it to where you need it, and it cuts into your stomach or stops you from reaching the bar. Loosen it up, and it doesn't give you the support you need. The Spud Inc. Deadlifter Belt is made from soft, flexible, 2-ply or 3-ply webbing that has enough give to stay out of your way, but as tough as any leather belt you've ever worn. The Velcro strap and ring make tightening and loosening this belt effortless, while the industrial strength Velcro keeps it tight while you lift. Check out the Spud Inc. Deadlift Belt online at spud-inc-straps.com. And you probably see a strongman or two sporting that belt. That's where you'll probably see that one most.
If we ever see a strong man
if
sporting
you
anything
ever
again.
see ever again, that's where you have probably seen it before. Today's show is also brought to you by Texas Power Bars. Buddy Capps first started lifting weights in the late 60s and began powerlifting in the mid-70s. At the time, he was working for Image Barbell building gym equipment. Around 1976, a local machine shop started making Olympic bars for them, calling it the Image Bar. In 1977, Image Barbell became Champion Barbell. It was then that Buddy started looking at the bars with an intent of changing them for the better. In 79, Buddy bought his first lathe and began addressing the known issues. In 1980, his passion, drive, and purpose now had a greater mission. Buddy set out on his own to make what he believed was the greatest bar he had ever seen and trained with, and the Texas Power Bar was born. It was strong as a house with the best knurling and was maintenance-free. Hundreds of state, national, international, Massenomics, and world powerlifting records have been and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more about Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars, visit texaspowerbars.com. Cannot leave out Massenomics.
I love how
records.
Texas Power Bars included that in their ad.
It's
with
very,
us.
very thoughtful of them, but they know we're repping those bars. Today's show is also brought to you by Lifting Large. Lifting Large sets the new standard for strength service within the let me start that over. Lifting Large sets the new standard for customer service, not strength service. I think they do set the standard for strength service too, but
That's true.
In
They
this
have
case,
very strong service.
they do have strong service. So we're talking about strong customer service within the strength world.
Oh, that could have been in Miles's podcast
Exactly,
review.
yeah. Get email responses from Lifting Large in hours, not days. They now have live website chat support available during the weekdays so you can get advice from a real powerlifter with actual platform experience. The Lifting Large team wants to help you achieve new PRs in the gym and on the competition stage. When you're ready to try single ply and make your way to the dark side, give them a call. Lifting Large is home to the Ground Lock deadlift slipper, and it's always in stock and always ready to ship. Massenomics listeners can save 20% on all Lifting Large branded products by using discount code MASS20 at checkout. That's MASS20 to save 20% on all Lifting Large branded items. Place your orders at liftinglarge.com, and you can follow them on Instagram at liftinglarge.com. That's liftinglarge.com. And last but not least, this episode is brought to you by Hybrid Performance Method. If you've been training without a coach and have been looking for a competitive edge, remember to check out hybridperformancemethod.com. Hybrid has 15 different strength and fitness programs covering everything from powerlifting and strongman to gymnastics and general fitness, all included in one training membership. That's not all. Hybrid also offers one-on-one personalized nutrition coaching that uses lifestyle habits and a flexible approach to shape your nutrition plan around your current lifestyle, instead of turning your lifestyle upside down in order to support unsustainable habits that only work in the short run the way most programs do. If you're ready to take your training, nutrition, or both to the next level, use code MASS in all caps for 5% off membership to all programs for the life of your membership. Thank you to our sponsors.
Thank you, sponsors. So now we're going to call our special guest,
Yes, sir.
who has remained nameless up to this point in time.
I mean, unless you read the episode of this title, unless you read the title of this episode, you have no idea who we're calling right now.
They're probably going to read it right now.
Oh, crap. Who
Did you guys order line with your Corona?
Jim, we were actually calling to let you know that your test results are in and you have the COVID-19. We're sorry to inform you.
You know, I was hoping for the COVID-20, but then I'm still good, I guess.
Always one-upping everyone.
Yep.
Yeah. I try to do that. It doesn't usually work out.
We actually wanted to, we were fully planning on flying you into Aberdeen, South Dakota for this episode, but the whole social distancing thing, sorry about that.
Well, I would probably have a whole plane to myself, though, wouldn't I? Pretty much. But where would I have
probably
to land?
would.
Real question.
That's true. Yes. Good point. So you are how quarantined are you at this point? I have heard that maybe the Bay Area in California is a little more severe at this point. How's Sacramento?
As of today, we are being encouraged to shelter in place. So that's what we're doing, basically.
What better time to do a telephone podcast, right?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I had people in my house doing an episode of my show with Silent Mike today, and it's like afterwards, I don't know whether to burn my house down, for sure, or just I wiped everything down with alcohol, in the hope it was bourbon, but you know how that goes.
Yeah,
it's close enough.
How much curious? We made the comment. We were talking about how we discussing the coronavirus a little bit here. We also did last week, but just how completely irrelevant everything we say is. 5 to 7 days later when this episode comes out, were you guys discussing it much on your show? It's just kind of funny, just how late this information is by the time it actually goes out.
Yeah, we did discuss it, and it's the episode that'll go up for tomorrow, so it won't be so stale.
Okay.
But it'll, you know how it is. It's changing hour by hour right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We had our guest was our friend Fat Dan. If you remember Fat Dan,
yep, definitely.
Yeah. So he's got a side hustle where he has a security business, and essentially they do security for bars and nightclubs. And so, of course, there's none of that going on as of right now.
Right.
But we did get to talk about precautions they were taking over the last few days that they were actually able to work. And,
so he has plenty of time to podcast then too.
He has plenty of time to play. He's got a 9 to 5 too, but he was off today. So
okay. So
thankfully he didn't quit his job.
Yeah. And I was going to say, we kind of jumped the gun here, Jim. Why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners, in case they're not familiar with you, who you are and what they might know you from?
I'm just a guy looking at the internet and asking for love. That's it. That's all I got. No, I was one of the founding members of a gym that I don't go to anymore. I probably am the godfather of voiceover for fitness YouTube videos.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, I just last night released the DVDs that we did on back in 07 and 08 on my YouTube channel, which is Jim McGee 1234. And so you can check those out for free. People used to pay for those, and now not anymore. I created, but 2013 created a podcast that got very, very successful that ended in early 2018. And I now have a new show. Actually, it's a little over a year old now, with one of my original co-hosts, Mr. Silent Mike, Michael Farr. And on that show, which is a little different than the previous incredibly successful show, we take a single question, a health, fitness related question, a business sometimes, and we try to answer it ourselves without doing any research. And then we bring in an expert, the best expert we can find, or whoever will take our calls. And they tell us kind of what we got right and what we got wrong. And that's me. I guess one of the things is I started powerlifting when I was over 40, which I don't necessarily recommend, but I did it anyway.
And are you 50 yet?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, you are.
I'm past the midpoint of 50.
Okay. You know how I probably maybe listened to all your episodes of 50% Facts. Tommy and I both listened to your prior podcast. We listened to that pretty extensively. Mm-hmm. That was actually your old one was maybe the first podcast I ever listened to.
I know for a fact it was the first podcast I ever listened to.
Yeah.
That was, going back to
14 or
it was before that even for me. I mean, it was a long time. I mean, that was before, the podcast game has changed so much even in the last couple of years. I mean, once you start going back to 2013 ish, a lot of people didn't even know what the word was then.
Right. I think that's very true too.
Yeah. We started in September of 2013, and the Serial podcast, hit about a year later.
Okay.
And it got stupid. But that show was actually very popular from the get-go for a number of reasons, some of which are mechanical to the way search works on the internet, and particularly on iTunes at the time. Now they call it Apple Podcasts, but
Right.
We had some structural advantages that we didn't realize going in, and it was a lot of fun until the last year when when Mike left, and it got to be a grind at that point. So,
And at that point,
but
it's
Mike
not
and I
fun
have
to
a lot
do
of
it.
fun now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it got less fun to do it because for a variety of reasons, let's just say. People ask me all the time, and I don't really have a good answer. I don't have a good short answer for that question.
Well, and that's we weren't planning on asking you too much about that because we know that I'd say it's probably, at least even consciously on your part, that I don't think you ever really delved into that very much, and probably purposely. I mean, would you say that that's the case, as you kind of wanted to leave that more private?
Yeah, for the most part, that's true. I will share this, however, that I don't know if you guys are familiar with Jordan Harbinger. He's got an enormous podcast right now, and he actually started another podcast originally with a couple of partners called The Art of Charm, and then they screwed him pretty hard.
No, I heard you had him on your podcast, didn't you? Or on your show you talked about conversations with him. I talked about it because I know what you're going to say, but I'll shut up now to let you talk. But yeah, I heard I did hear you explaining this a little bit. I think it's interesting. Yeah,
he was in a position that he could go on other people's podcasts and say and talk about what happened and say, don't patronize those people. They're not good folks. And I did not do that. And so I was actually able to ask him directly last August. I saw him and said, I know you went on a bunch of people's podcasts and you really put
them on blast.
Partners. Was that worth it? And he said, "Fuck yes, it was."
Oh, yeah.
And it's a different position. Fitness is pretty small, and who knew? Who would know how people would react to it? And I don't need any negativity, and I don't really need to get into the details. It very much can say that it didn't end very well,
right? And
I'm happier now. So
that's fair. That's fair, because that was gonna be what my one question would be is, does a part of you, and I'm sure a part of you does, wish that you would have done that, just to what he did, run around and say, and even maybe not necessarily speaking negative of other people that much, but just, even more explaining your story more.
Yeah.
I don't know. There has to be part of you that thinks that, I would think.
There are times I think it would be cathartic, but hey, this is why I have a therapist. So. It's literally, part of the reason why it ended was that I actually started going to a therapist because I was developing anxiety over the situation, and he was able to. Let's just say that had I not gone to therapy, it would have been harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you have your own podcast now, so there's gotta be a certain amount of freedom and just relaxation with doing your own thing, right?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And Mike is exceedingly easy to work with, and always has been. He was my first choice, my first co-host choice on that previous podcast. I had just kind of done some YouTube stuff with him, and he and I and a couple of other people did some YouTube cooking stuff, just not particularly fitness related stuff. And so I kind of knew what his strengths were, what he could bring to the table. And so working with him is easy. Talking on the podcast is super easy. It's not, you know how terrible it is if you don't have that, if you don't have that flow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tommy and I hate each other, so it's a surprise that we've made it to episode 207.
It's not a labor of love in any way.
Well, yeah. With the first show, we made it to 254, so I would just like watch the calendar very closely. Next year, near this time,
it's a ticking time bomb.
Isn't that crazy to think of? The number of hours that you've that are out there that are recorded that are kind of there available forever. There's a lot.
Oh yeah, there's 254 audio episodes. There are 230-ish video episodes. Most of those multi-camera. All of that I did myself. Like really 100% of it was no way to,
it's a lot of work. Like people don't realize it. It is a lot of work.
Yeah, and there's a reason why we haven't really until very recently. Now I have a setup, a multi-camera setup that can be live switch, so you don't have to revisit. You have to rewatch the whole thing.
Yeah, and, that would be great.
So, if you don't mind me asking, quick, what do you use for cameras right now?
I have had for a very long time a Sony AX100 that is the center camera and was the center camera for most of the episodes of the old show. And then I have two AX33s, Sony AX33s. They're video cameras and not DSLRs. I was using a DSLR for a while, and even with like a software hack, it's still to restart it because they stop after
the 30-minute stop time.
Even with that, it was a pain. It was terrible. It looked great, but it was a pain.
Yeah, that's good to know because we're pretty happy with where our audio equipment's at. But we have talked. We do put these all on YouTube. We used to do multicam, but. And that was edited in post, so it does suck, that you go, just like you said, watching the whole thing again, basically, and deciding when to make the switches so it's not completely random and so it has some flow and makes some sense. There's some serious work involved with that. That switch on the fly thing is cool, though. I could see how that would be a pretty cool tool to have and save some time, really, in the long run. Yeah,
it does, and Mike's camera guy, Connor, actually sits there most of the time now. We've only done it for a couple of weeks, honestly, that all the equipment's been here. And then I had a studio for a while. I was renting an office in the building, and I decided to bring everything home for now. And so I have a loft in my in our bedroom. That's where I am at the moment. Everything's all crammed in here. But it's working out relatively well. The acoustics are not as prime as they were in the office, but it's not bad.
Yeah. So I got one comment for you. So you have a fairly I like the format of your show. You guys take the first half to kind of just talk and think things out and just say whatever's on your mind. The second half is when that expert can come in and explain what you guys had right, had wrong. One suggestion, if you guys don't bring in the expert, that's kind of what we do. You can just talk for an hour about whatever you want, and then you don't even have to worry about someone else explaining anything. You can just leave it at that. It makes things easy.
Well, last week's episode was exactly like that. It was just me and Mike. We were supposed to be connecting with Bart Kwan. And he had apparently too much stuff going on and was never able to connect with us. And then today's episode, we actually brought Fat Dan in for the whole episode. So we did pose a question to him, but we didn't really pontificate too much about our own thoughts about it. We just asked him, like I said, about bouncing in the age of coronavirus one and really like about how his job works. And we talked about a bunch of other bullshit too. There's a point at which I think that we're going to, we'll probably split between highly formatted episodes and totally broken format episodes for the fun of it. And it is not always easy to get the experts on the phone, and it's not always easy to come up with a topic that's going to resonate and all that stuff. So we know how to just talk, but we'd already done that. And so that was
you do have a lot of hours of that. That is for sure.
Yeah, we got exactly a ton. we got a Library of Congress wing
Yeah.
of previous content.
Right. So you called yourself kind of the godfather of, at least in the voiceover fitness YouTubing. I would say maybe in some of the lifting YouTube in general, and also like we talked about the podcasting element here too. One of the first really doing that. What would you say about any like a quick couple points of advice for anyone that wants to specifically start a podcast about lifting in 2020? A, should they do it? And B, what if they are hoping to do it and hoping to make money doing it?
A, unless you have something unique to say, probably not.
Yeah, that's fair, I think.
Just because there are so many, it's just, and the market's gotten very fragmented for it. And so people are only going to listen to what they agree with. So, if you want to have kind of a wide ranging discussion, that covers a lot of different viewpoints, find an audience. And in terms of making money, we haven't made a ton with this new show. The old show toward the end did quite well. We have done ads. We work with a company called Audio Boom that does ad sales for us. So we're actually on a little bit of a break with them right now, just because. Reading ads it does get tiring after a while. But we're maybe going to start doing some more direct ads. Working directly with companies instead of working through an agency, because we get some stuff sometimes it doesn't really mesh with our audience, and then they have expectations about what kind of response you're going to get.
Right.
Yep. What you're
and they never share that stuff with you, other than if they're not happy.
Right.
And like, I can't do anything about it if you don't tell me about it. And the science seems to show that people need 3 contacts with a advertiser before they are even thinking about making a purchase decision.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm running 2 ads, or they're really far apart, or whatever, unless that person seems, exactly. So it's a difficult game in that regard. I think it's much easier if you are going into it and you already have a product of your own, that your sales are propping up, which is one of the things that we did somewhat unintentionally, but for someone who, anyway.
Maybe it didn't help you out that much in the long run.
Not so much.
Right. And I've, for our listeners here, I don't know that necessarily know this, but I've over the years with us having our podcast, I've here and there asked you several questions over the past years, and you've been really helpful with us here. And a lot of that advice you gave there is things that I know you've said to me in the past. But we do have sponsors on our show.
Specifically the part like shut it down, Tanner. Quick.
He's like, don't do it, you idiots.
Well, I told Michael Fahey not to make West Side versus the World, but I also gave him the name.
Yeah, right.
On balance, I think I did okay.
That kind of is your blessing.
Yeah, right. We did take the approach. We sell our own stuff, and it's very valuable for that. But then the sponsors we have started working with now are very, they mesh perfectly with us, I think. And, then they're in our same niche, and it just makes a lot of sense. And it's just direct contacts with them. And that is probably the route that makes the most sense for us. And that was, partly from your advice. And I think that really worked well. I think that's the same advice I would give someone else if they ask a similar question.
Well, I'm glad that worked out then.
So we're filthy rich now. I mean, we're swimming in money over here. These podcasts is just so lucrative. We're going to start like 3 more.
Quit beating around the bush and let's get to the point here.
I have endless numbers of ideas for podcasts. I only have so many that can potentially make money. That's the problem.
Yeah, right. Tommy, unless you got something else, we do have a special game that we like to have our guests play. It's our overrated, underrated game, Jim. Do you think you would be down? We have a special Jim McGee version of overrated, underrated for you today.
I'm very down.
All right, perfect. Okay.
I don't understand how the druthers thing works.
It is key. You said druthers, so we do know that you are really aware of overrated, underrated. That's the key. all that someone has to do is just say the word druthers, and we know that
it
they're
is like
familiar.
it is like the password. I mean,
Yes.
really, it is. If we had a secret base, druthers would be the password.
Right.
Awesome. If there's a handshake, you'll have to show me.
Handshakes were actually on last week's Overrated, Underrated. So
Oh, okay. No, we can't shake hands anymore, though.
No.
Right?
Oh
We
yeah,
just-
they're on pause for
yeah,
a
we
few
do
months.
elbow bumps, perhaps. Okay, Jim. Overrated or underrated? Topic number 1: podcast reviews.
Oh, I think that they're underrated. I think most exposed to them.
So my question, we always say, what do they matter for? Other than we get the
We encourage them
we
very
encourage
much
them,
all the
absolutely.
time. Yeah.
And there's that social proof aspect. Do they does iTunes or Apple Podcasts, do they bump you up if you have more rankings or anything like that you know of?
They are not supposed to, according to what I hear. What I hear is the rankings are based off of new subscriptions
Okay.
and download velocity.
Okay.
However, my new show is built on the ashes of the old show's feed,
Right.
and so there are still, well over 1,500 reviews sitting there, and they're still there.
That's a
and
lot.
we appear as like all-time best fitness podcasts on.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of that. So in terms of the rankings, probably not. In terms of the way that they treat you, probably so.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I'll buy that.
And your final.
And plus,
Oh, go ahead.
and plus, people need to be able to, a show and read a review. It's a little Yelpy, but whether or not they'd want to actually listen.
Yep.
That
I'll
makes
have what
sense.
he's having.
Yeah. And all that being said, make sure to go to Apple Podcasts and leave 50% facts a 5-star review, and the Massenomics podcast a 5-star review.
There you go.
Yeah.
Doubleheader.
Yes. Topic number 2: overrated or underrated IPAs.
I'm gonna say overrated.
Overrated, huh? So
I have
are
reached
you
a-
an IPA guy?
I used to be, but it has to be a really good one now for me to be interested in. And I am more down with the hazy style currently than the West Coast IPA. I only live on the West Coast, but I've had a lot of West Coast IPAs at this point.
Yep. Okay.
So-
Do you have a particular hazy IPA you would make a recommendation on?
I'm terrible with names.
Well,
I'm
and to be
like
fair,
really bad.
I feel like once you get into the hazy IPA territory, the names are always like 10 words.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and the hazy is one of them.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. That's the one common thread is the hazy. Okay.
And you did say overrated IPAs. Okay.
I did say overrated.
All right.
Yes.
Overrated or underrated YouTube fitness channels.
Pretty much have to be overrated at this point. I mean, I'm 2012, 2013, 2014, not overrated. They were underrated. Then by now, they're pretty overrated. And I don't spend a lot of time watching them anymore. So I'm not an expert on what's really out there anymore. I used to be more so.
Yeah, I think a lot of
It's
us probably
just
follow
so
this
much
as a-
of the same over
Yeah.
and over and over is just really the problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm aware that some people do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And maybe things I used to do that they're doing over and over again. But anyway,
Okay, last topic, maybe the most important one for today. Overrated or underrated Costco?
Costco is currently overrated. Costco is typically a little underrated, I think, but currently overrated. The lack of toilet paper anywhere is a problem. And they could have controlled that. They could have said one bundle per unless you've got a resale license, right?
Or diarrhea?
Or diarrhea. Yeah,
If you can prove it.
you have diarrhea. If you blow up our bathroom with diarrhea, if you make us bring in the hazmat crew to clean the bathroom after you're there.
I think that's a pretty fair policy.
Yeah, and see, we don't have Costco here in the Dakotas, so we were relying on your sage advice of if you ever
How
come
we
across
should feel
one.
about
Yeah, right.
how the hell do you not have Costco?
We do have the closest one is a short 200 miles away.
Yeah.
That's
That's all. So you're not going there for gas, is what you're saying?
yeah. Just a little out of the way. We usually go to the one that's 100 miles out of the way.
And what was the final ruling though on Costco though? You said it's
Costco is currently overrated.
Overrated. Okay, good enough. Okay, that is our overrated, underrated segment. Jim, we'll give you one more chance to let people know about 50% facts and everywhere everyone can and should find you at.
You can find me pretty much anywhere at the Jim McGee. Pretty much all the social media, and the show is 50% facts, where percent is a word. We're on Twitter, where nobody pays any attention there, and Instagram, where I don't pay enough attention, but that's another thing altogether. You also find us on all the platforms except SoundCloud because they suck.
Yeah, that is good to know. We do appreciate you coming on, Jim, and like I said before, we appreciate just you blazing a trail a little bit. We probably wouldn't have a podcast had it not been for you. I think that's not unreasonable to say. So thank you for that.
Yep, thank you.
Well, you're very welcome.
And we'll be talking to you again sometime. Tell Silent Mike that we'd like to get him on someday. Put a bug in his ear for us.
Yeah, I'll do that. No problem at all. He's pretty amenable to being on podcasts. So.
We'll see. You didn't really say anything bad about him. We'll see if we can get him to say anything bad about you.
He probably won't. We have a really good relationship, to be honest.
Well, that's what you're saying now.
Yeah, we'll see after
Time will tell.
after he runs you down on here.
It could all end.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Oh, thanks for having me out, guys.
Yep. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Jim McGee.
That was Jim. They don't call him the Jim McGee for no reason.
They do not. Wow, that takes me back to, like we said, the pretty much first podcast I ever listened to.
It is weird to say the year, like 2013, and then now that it's 20, so that's 7 years ago. That's a long time.
Podcasts were a thing back then. What?
I that was the first podcast I listened to, and I think maybe maybe you listened to it first and you told me about it.
I remember telling you at the. I think the conversation was something like, Tanner, have you ever listened to podcasts? And I think you're like, no. And I said, I just started listening to Mark Bell's podcast.
And I knew who Mark Bell and I don't know.
He was still very active on YouTube then. So everyone knew, I shouldn't say everyone, but I think most people familiar with lifting or familiar with, his YouTube
Super
channel.
Training and all the guys
they
there.
would always kind of be trying to plug the podcast.
Yeah.
And one day I was like, I should look into this podcast thing. And then, it wasn't long after that everyone we knew was listening to that podcast,
Yeah. I remember, so that was 2013. Maybe it was 2012, or maybe it was even earlier in maybe 6 months before this. I was it was at work, and we were doing like a manager or project thing, almost like a project you do in college. It was like part of like a class thing we were doing at work where you're with other peers and you're like thinking up these ideas to help the company, almost you're like coming up with these creative ideas and how you'd execute them, stuff like that.
Things that no one will ever do.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Exactly
Those
it.
meetings.
Yes. When we used to have more time to do that, and that's not the case anymore. But one of the things we were working on is like getting more messages out to the customers. Getting our message out better. And one of the woman in the group, I remember her suggestion was, we could have a podcast for the company. And at the time I remember thinking like, what? Like I honestly remember I didn't verbalize it, but I remember thinking that is the dumbest idea I've heard today.
And kind of at that time it would have been.
Yeah,
because
right.
No one
right.
would.
Well, I was like, and a majority of our audience for that company is older.
60 plus,
and this is at the time when I was 25 or something like that. And to me, I was like, that is stupid.
Yeah. Wow.
But also it's just, it was. It really was.
She would even,
because now it wouldn't be crazy now. It would be a little weird because of who that audience is, but like
it wouldn't be crazy at all.
No, it'd be like, that
would surprise me.
Go figure. You got one like everyone else. You know?
Yeah. Now the thing is, like Jim said, is can you say anything unique? And I mean, I don't know if we're exactly saying anything unique, but
No, but we have been around for 4
I was
years.
going to say,
so
we have
that's
been
our
around for we've been around for 4 years, and we consistently put stuff out.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people.
That's our secret sauce.
Yeah,
so your
not
secret,
that
you
we
can
have
do
anything
it
to
too.
say, we're just super
Just
consistent.
have half a decade and don't stop ever in that period of time. Either that or have something really unique to say. Because I agree, we don't necessarily, but we do have a voice at this point just because we've done it so long and slowly built that audience.
But even the unique part, who has anything unique to say, really? It's
At this point, almost nobody, because it's all been said on a podcast.
because the Simpsons did it, right?
Right, yes. Simpsons did it.
Wow.
Other thing about, before we end this episode, is have you gotten I think it's funny, have you gotten an email from every company that you've ever been a patron of any kind explaining to you their policy on?
I've gotten quite a few, like a few right away. You get them from the travel companies.
You're
It's
right.
like that makes total sense.
That makes sense.
And I thought that was what it was going to be. And it's extended to a few companies where I'm like, I feel like you're just using this as like a PR stunt of some kind to like say how awesome you are. But I also like read the thing and I'm like, I also don't think like what you're saying sounds that good either, though.
Well, how about this one? Libsyn is the company that we pay
host
for
our podcast with.
We got an email from them about how they're
really?
handling.
What did it say?
I deleted it because I was like, that is so stupid. When do you even come in contact with customers ever?
Yeah, I guess besides your people showing up, which I'm guessing are mostly like engineer type
you
people.
don't need to send out an email. I wasn't concerned of whether we were going to switch podcast hosts based on their policy on.
Yeah, it's more the retail type stores are the ones that are like, hey, we're still business as usual, but we're cleaning extra. I'm
Right.
like, I don't know how much of people sneezing on things your cleaning is going to fix, you know?
Everyone's thing
Like-
says the same thing.
Yeah,
too.
they do. They do say the same thing. And I'm just like, I feel like this is just you trying to like show the world how good you are.
Yeah,
but
I
it
want to
kind
know
of
how
looks
many,
like-
how much of those people are actually doing everything.
Yeah, to me, I
that's in
just
there
think
too.
hollow promises is
Yeah.
like what I think on like all of those.
Right.
It's just like, oh, it feels good when we do this, so we're going to do it.
Right.
That's the
and
way I read
also
it.
everyone else is doing it, so we better do it. Otherwise, people are going to be like, "Well, geez, they don't have a coronavirus policy."
Yeah.
Like,
And it's a way for us to justify that. Oh, well, see, we're still safe to do it. Statistically, we can stay open until our entire workforce is infected.
Right.
Then that would be the time to close. You know,
yes,
just another reason I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that part of it.
yep.
Well, 207 in the books.
207's in the books. Would you like to hear from our sponsors of this
Tanner?
episode again?
I would not like to. I would love to.
Amen. This episode was brought to you by Hybrid Performance Method. They're your one-stop shop for all things fitness and online coaching. Whether your goals are training related, nutrition and body composition related, or both, Hybrid has a program for you. With dedicated and experienced coaches in each strength and fitness discipline, you can rest assured that you're in the best hands possible. And what we would ask is if you're going to do business with them, please make sure to use our discount code. It'll save you 5% off. Also, it makes us look good.
Yeah.
Keeps them coming back for more. Our
And
discount
that's probably even more valuable than 5% off. Is
Yes,
making
us
Massenomics
look good. Yes. And you can use our discount code MASS. That's MASS in all caps. Today's show is also brought to you by Texas Power Bars. In 1980, Buddy Caps was on a mission to make the best bar possible, and the Texas Power Bar was born. Hate to see the woman that had to birth that thing. It was strong as a house and the best knurling and was maintenance free. Hundreds of state, Massenomics, national, Massenomics, and international and world powerlifting records have been set and continue to be set and broken on the Texas Power Bar. To learn more, visit Texas Power Bars and buy one of their legendary bars. TexasPowerBars.com. We don't have a discount code there. I imagine they have room for comments. You can leave a comment that you're there buying because you heard about them on the Massenomics podcast.
I heard you can set a Massenomics PR.
Yes. Today's show is also brought to you by Lifting Large. Lifting Large has set a new standard for customer service within the strength world. They have live website chat support and speedy email responses. Lifting Large is home to the Ground Lock deadlift slipper, and they are always in stock and ready to ship. We do have a discount code there. It's MASS20. That gets you 20% off any of the Lifting Large branded products. And also if you buy other stuff from their site, because they do sell just about everything that you would buy related to lifting. Even if you're not using our code, you could drop a message that the Massenomics boys sent you. Today's episode was also brought to you by Spud Inc. The goal of Spud Inc. Straps is to make products that support sports performance and help everyone achieve their training goals. They make products that last forever, won't bust your budget, and most importantly, leave no doubt about success when everything is on the line. Check them out online at spud-ink-straps.com. Thank you to all of our sponsors.
Thank you. Thank you.
Make sure to go to our site and buy all of our stuff. In addition to buying stuff from our sponsors, we also expect you to buy stuff from our
It's a lot of buying,
website. Yes.
But, with everyone sitting at home, not working.
What else are you going to do?
Exactly.
What else are you going to do?
Once you're done buying that power rack from Rep Fitness, make your way over to Massenomics, Hybrid Performance, Texas Power Bars, and Lifting Large, and stock up on all the goods.
We've kind of got everything right now. We got a big reorder of all of our shorts. That was one of the things we kind of sold out some sizes. Believe it or not, people had enough money to purchase those, and we ran out of some sizes.
Now it's just a matter of getting the security agency to deliver the shorts. Yeah. It's kind of a whole
it's a process.
Thing.
Yeah.
So that'll be a little
process. The Curls original shirt, our reorder of that is probably going to be here by the time you hear this. So Curls shirt should be available in all sizes again. And we've got new stuff we're working on pretty soon down the pipeline. We're going to pump out some cool stuff. I think
you know what they say. If you like what we've done so far,
you'll like what we're going to do next. That is what we say.
That's what everyone says about us.
That's what they're saying. Tommy, where do they find you on Instagram?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can find me at Tanner_Baird. Most importantly, make sure to follow Massenomics on Instagram at Massenomics. Catch you for next time, 208.
See ya.